Hello and welcome to another Warminster Scoop. Today we have Jessica Fox, our Parks Director. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
to see you. And I know we just had a Warminster Day this past Saturday, and I want to congratulate you for a wonderful, wonderful event. I know you put a lot of time and effort into all your events, but it's a great community gathering and event, and I want to congratulate you for that.
Thank you. That is a team effort, though. Certainly, someone has to put together the details, but without the team that we have in place, none of this happens. So it was a team effort, and everyone did their job, and it came out really well.
That's great. Yeah, and that's true. I mean, the police, parks, or public works, people at Parks and Rec, and of course the staff here. They made a great event, and I was there. I wandered around. Of course, I love the bubbles. That's where all the kids gather. They see those bubbles, and
Love the bubbles.
it's a lot of fun. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's a nice event, and thank you for putting that on for us. So, of course, you're our Parks and Rec director, and you've been here how many years now?
3.
3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome, and we appreciate you being here. Why don't you talk a little bit about our park system? You know, as far as the size of it, and just basically what we have to offer the residents and other people coming into the community.
Sure. So we have over 420 acres of parkland and open space that we maintain. Our maintenance crew is awesome, and they sort of team up with Public Works to get all the grass cutting done and get all of our parks maintenance complete, especially during these busy months, which is really nice. We have 13 parks, and that again includes passive and active recreation areas. Our biggest park, our flagship park, is Warminster Community Park, and Warminster Community Park comes in over 240 acres total.
It's massive.
It's a massive space, and it also connects to several other parks, which is very nice. But yeah, we have active parks, passive parks, natural areas, and we're maintaining all of that as needed.
Yes, and that is a lot of park to maintain. I know we are one of several municipalities in the county that have a lot of open space and park systems, and it's tough to maintain, but you guys do a great job, and we appreciate everything. So I know we have Kemper Park, Monroe Park, Chismanic, right?
Yep.
I believe that's how you pronounce that. And why don't you talk a little bit about like the parks and then what we have, like the facilities available at each park and what we have going on there.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, Warminster Community Park is our largest park, our flagship park. Warminster Community Park connects to Monroe Park. And in Monroe and Warminster Community Park together, we have soccer fields, baseball and softball fields, tennis, basketball, bank shot basketball, which is our inclusive basketball area. That's a very cool space. Several playgrounds. There's 2 at Warminster Community Park. There's 1 at Monroe Park. We have a skate park at Monroe Park, which is awesome. And all of these facilities serve the general public, and then also our independent youth and adult sports organizations who use those spaces. And then Warminster Community Park in Monroe, technically, through Ivy Woods, connect to our park on Kirk Road, which is Werner Park.
Mm-hmm.
And Werner Park has a football facility, a softball field, and it is one of our locations that does have lit fields, which is very nice. And then on the other side, Warminster Community Park by pedestrian crossing connects with Shamanic Park. And Shamanic Park also has a football facility with lights, basketball, and a small area that we are considering doing something very fun with in the near future.
Oh,
So
looking forward to that.
yeah, so those are probably our most active parks. And then we have areas like Kemper Park. Kemper Park is really unique. It runs along the Neshaminy Creek, which is awesome to have a park that runs along a water feature with a loop trail. It also has a ton of natural area there, which is lovely as well. Some of it which has been converted to meadow through our meadow program that we started several years ago. Andrew McAdams, our Public Works Director, spearheaded that effort, and we've converted 8 acres in various parks to meadow, and Kemper Park is one of those. And then we also have the Crossings, which is a larger park, and the Crossing Park is really cool because it's a pocket park in a neighborhood, but it has a large natural area attached to it. So besides that, we have our smaller parks, Log College, Meadow Run, Maple Street. Those are more of our pocket park areas that may have a playground, maybe some wooded or natural areas. Sometimes there's some small trails in those parks and the like. But we run the gamut from our 240-acre flagship park down to our smallest park, which is Maple Street, and that's a playground and basketball court area.
I know I sit on the, excuse me, on the Bucks County Redevelopment Authority Board, and I've been touting the runway and the events we have there, and always asking for additional funding to help us because it's a huge economic driver, that runway, to have events there.
Yeah.
And, hopefully we get, the runway needs a little bit of help.
It does.
Which we'll get into that
It
at
does.
some point. But
Yes.
let's talk about the park model that you've adopted here, because I know when I was growing up, and I grew up in the city of Philadelphia, and we had a recreation centers all over the city. So we had baseball and football and tennis, a little bit of tennis, but mostly basketball, baseball, and football, and a pool in certain places. But you have a different model, more 21st century, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
We talk about the modernization of Parks and Rec a lot. In the last decade or so, we've moved away from the programming rec center model. A lot of that has to do with facility availability and the ability to maintain a facility, but also that's not necessarily what our residents are asking for anymore. So in the past, people wanted programming for their kids. They wanted knitting classes and cooking classes and things like that. We're not seeing a demand for that anymore, but what we are seeing a demand for is well-maintained and modern public open space and recreation areas. So we have sort of shifted our focus to creating facilities and putting most of our energy into the facilities themselves to then be able to serve the private organizations that are providing some of that programming and are able to do it at a level that that we would not be able to due to current staffing numbers and what is realistic for a Parks
And budget
Rec
constraints,
department.
yes.
Yeah, so what is
Right.
realistic for a Parks and Rec department? So we have a ton of really awesome organizations, both nonprofit and for-profit, youth and adult, that use these facilities. So we have shifted our focus to creating an inclusive space where people can come, whether it's organized recreation or personal private recreation, running, biking, playing on the playground, or the like. So we have shifted into asset management and making sure that our facilities are serving our residents and people from the surrounding areas, bringing that business and traffic into Warminster Township.
Yeah, that's great. By the way, I want to thank our manager, Tom Scott, for the wonderful cup of coffee this morning. Really helps. A lot of sugar in it, though, Tom, but it's good. So, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. It's nice to update and bring our business model, or not a business model, but our parks model. And I know right now you're in the middle of a parks master plan update.
So
Right.
the Parks Recreation Open Space Comprehensive Plan was last updated in 2011. So what we are doing to bring that forward, a lot changes in 14 or 15 years.
Mhm.
So we're currently working on updating our master site plans with plans for the future, and then also recommendations for all of our park and open space areas. So that's an update to that existing plan, and we are working on that now. We are in the public input phase of that process.
Right. I did attend that meeting with Vice Chair Kathy Frescatore,
Yes.
which was interesting.
Mm-hmm. And we have a public survey that's out right now.
Oh, that's great. You want to give that a plug?
Yeah, absolutely. So the public survey you can find on our Parks and Rec social media, and then also on our website. And that survey basically gives our residents and even non-residents, anyone who uses our park system, so any end user, and any stakeholder that wants to have input into these master site plans and the comp plan update has the opportunity to have their voice heard through this survey. So we encourage everyone to participate. It's a lot easier to have your input in before the decisions are made versus after. So we definitely encourage people to let us know what direction they'd like to see us going.
And yeah, and that's important. And you know, there was a great, there was a lot of participation. The room was pretty much full, and I was happy to see that.
Yeah, that's actually very rare. So we were very
Yeah.
excited to see that number of people come out and give us their
provide some feedback.
and
Yeah,
input.
yeah, that was great. That was great. So let's talk about, excuse me. Let's talk about some of the infrastructure projects that we have going on. I know John, in a previous Warminster Scoop podcast, we talked about the ability to fund some of our infrastructure projects, and you did bring up the trails. But why don't you touch on some of the great stuff we're doing to improve the parks for the residents?
Sure. So as I mentioned before, we are shifting to sort of an asset management and public facilities model versus the programming model. And part of that is making sure that when we think about infrastructure, we're often thinking about sewer and roads and things like that. From a Parks and Rec perspective, we have huge infrastructure needs that are also can be very costly to the taxpayer if they're not on a proper replacement schedule.
Right.
So we are working on biggest issues first. So safety first. We have done some safety infrastructure upgrades. One of those was electric service and lighting at Werner Park.
Which, by the way, looks fantastic.
It's
They
very,
did a
very
great
good.
job
Yeah,
over
it's
there.
a great
Yeah.
job that they did.
Yeah, I remember
So-
looking at that. I remember looking at that service, and they opened up the panel, or actually they just opened up the doors, and I went in and looked at the panel, and I'm thinking somebody's going to get hurt, seriously hurt here.
Yeah, so there were a lot of
That was
safety
probably about 1930, I
concerns.
think. It was pretty old.
There were a lot of safety concerns with the electric service and the way that the electric was run at Werner. The lighting system was outdated.
It was
but
antiquated,
beyond-
yes.
And
And costly, because I think they were sodium lamps, right?
Yes. So we were able to completely overhaul the electric system and the electric service and the lighting situation at Werner, which was a fantastic project, not only for the safety piece, but also because it does create a really great environment to play football and softball as well. So
That's right, I think there's a girls softball league that's
There,
there,
they
right?
play
Young girls?
spring and summer,
Mhm.
and then the Warminster Pioneers come in and play football beginning in August, and they play through their season at Werner Park. And the lighting, not just on the main field, but also on the practice field, has been really great for them. And they are, for the first time in a long time, they're doing Friday Night Lights again. So
Oh, are they?
it's really
Oh,
awesome.
that's awesome.
So
Yeah.
we have not seen that kind of traffic through Werner Park because of the new lighting. They're now, the league is seeing that, and we're having more games in Werner Park, which means that we're having more people come in, not just our residents, but also from the outside. And they're spending Friday night in Warminster, which
Right.
is really great.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So that's that had many benefits, that project. We had some trail work issues, as you know, or
Mhm.
some trail issues at Warminster Community Park. Those trails were over 20 years old, and
Yeah, and originally this year we talked, I know I sit in on a lot of meetings when it comes to the infrastructure.
Mhm.
And I know we talked about originally doing the entire 5 miles of trail at the community park.
Yes.
But tell us what happened.
Yeah, so the cost to do anything now, today, in 2025, is significantly higher than I've seen in my entire career. Almost double from where I started.
Mhm.
So we have to make tough decisions with
Yes, we
with
do.
taxpayer dollars. We do our best to supplement with grant funding and other funding options, but some of this is going to have to come from tax millage. We know that. So the Warminster Community Park trails, some of them were done when phase 2 of Warminster Community Park was completed. So when the O'Neill Pavilion was built, and baseball fields were built, and we were able to open that side of the park, some of that trail work was done then. But most of it needed complete reconstruction. So when we took a look and we figured out, okay, we also started to get some calls from residents saying, hey, these trails are
A little tough to traverse, right?
especially some of our residents with mobility issues coming from Ann's Choice down on the lower circle. That was a call that we were receiving pretty frequently. So when we sat together with our infrastructure committee, we said, okay, this is something that we think needs to be top of the list. This is our biggest, most used park, and we need it to be safe, and we want it to be a good environment for multimodal trails. Bikes, walkers, runners.
Yes, Jess, I know. You told me about 1,000 times
I
at
did.
those infrastructure meetings, and
I
you
did.
drove that point home.
I can be a little bit of a bear on
That's okay.
these things.
It was a safety issue, and we
Yes.
recognize it, and I want to thank the board, or the rest of the board members
Mm-hmm.
too, for recognizing your persistence and concern that we had to get that done. So,
Yeah.
it's nice to see, the staff come to the board and say, hey, we have a problem and we need to fix it, and the board agrees, and we act on it. So, and that helps you do your job as well.
Absolutely. So having a township manager and a board of supervisors that not only listen to recommendations, but show up and check it out for themselves, and really take heed when we make these recommendations, especially safety things. It's awesome to have a board that supports not just the vision for the park system, but also the safety and other recommendations that we're making.
Yeah, the safety's first.
So we definitely appreciate that from a department head level and down. We appreciate that support so that we're able to provide that end user the best service that we can.
I know we put a stack, getting back to Werner, and
Yes.
we can go to the next, the next infrastructure, but I know we had a little mishap there. I think the wind blew the roof off the snack stand.
Correct, yeah. So the wind blew the roof off the snack stand a couple months ago. Yes, completely. It was absolutely wild.
One minute it's there, the next
Yeah.
minute it's gone.
It was pretty wild. And then we also found that there was a significant amount of rot as well once that roof was blown off. So that's another issue that we had to take care of, and that's something that we have to take care of right away. That's not something that can
Right.
wait. It's not something that can be planned for.
It's an unanticipated expense
Exactly.
that we have to get done.
Exactly.
That's right.
But it does go back to our initial conversation about replacement schedules.
Mhm.
So we're at a point now where we're looking at every asset that we have and saying, okay, when's the next roof going to blow off?
Right.
And can we
Which
anticipate?
one?
What can we anticipate
Right.
happening? And how can we plan for that in advance? But with this situation, that was not something that we could have planned for in advance.
Right.
And so that was repaired, and an emergency repair. So we
Yes.
have two kinds of repairs. We have our emergency repairs and then our planned repairs. The WCP trails were getting very close to being an emergency repair, so we planned for that, and we are doing quite a bit of that trail as well, by the way. And
I think it's
of it
2.5
is being-
miles, isn't it?
And some of it is being widened as well,
Right.
which is really, really nice. So we're about halfway, a little more than halfway through that project right now. The only stretch that is not being completed is the stretch that will eventually connect to Shenandoah Woods, because that'll be part of that larger project. But otherwise, we should have almost all new trails.
Yeah, I was over there, of course, because I want to see, first of all, what we're paying for, and secondly, I just wanted to see the progress. And I'll tell you, you took us around the pond, and what a beautiful job. And I know that was, that certain parts that trail kind of bottlenecked.
Yes.
It got smaller, and it was tough for people with mobility issues. So
Correct.
now the whole trail is one width all the way around, and it
Yes.
really is a nice job.
Yes, they did a fantastic job, and that was a very challenging piece to complete. That's the first piece that was completed, and it was very challenging, and we happen to have a great contractor on this job, so that helped a lot.
Yeah, and they,
did great work.
I saw the base they put down was some pretty large stone, and then, of course, the modified on top, and then a base asphalt, and then a finish asphalt. So, and that's another thing that I appreciate what you and your staff do, is that you didn't just put a Band-Aid on it. That trail is, what, about a 20-year lifespan or 30-year lifespan now?
At least 20.
Right,
Yeah.
at least 20 years, before we just have to mill it
Correct.
and then resurface it, rather than
Correct.
dig it all out and start with a base over again.
And that's why the full construction decision was made.
Right.
Yes. And then we always have our surprises in projects as well. So we had a couple little
Throw a few of
surprises.
those at us.
Yeah, so just in this project alone, we came across, well, and by we, I mean our contractor, called us out and said, hey, we have these soft spots that are really problematic. You're going to see, eventually.
That's
you're
where
gonna-
I was,
you're
at
gonna
one
see
of the
this drop.
soft spots.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So we have to make the decision at that point. You know, are we willing to risk having sinkholes in 5 years, or do we do the change order, make that decision to say we're going to do this the right way? It's going to cost us a little bit more. We work in contingencies in every project, as you know.
Right.
So there's always a little bit of extra funding there for contingencies, but this is the kind of stuff that happens, and it comes up. And so when people come in and they say, oh, hey, why don't we build this new thing? You know, it should only cost this much.
Right.
Well, that's your hard costs. And then we have our soft costs with
That's
engineering
right.
and the like. And then on top of that, we have our surprises. So every decision that we make and every time we decide to do any type of project, we have to assume we're going to have some surprises. And that was one of them. the
Always
soft
a
spots.
surprise.
Mhm.
It's just
Yeah.
like any homeowner that ever opened up a wall. You're not quite sure what you're going to get, what you're going to see
Exactly.
behind that wall.
Exactly. So luckily, we had already decided to do full reconstruction on the trails instead of a mill and overlay, which in some spaces, as you know, was not even possible.
Right.
But yeah, so all of these projects are things that absolutely need to get done. And I'm a firm believer in let's take care of what we have before we focus on the new. But we want to have a balance of that too. We want people to have fun with it. We want to build new things and have new things as well. So it's finding that balance between making sure that everything that we already have is kept up to standard, and then we bring in the new funds.
Yeah, I know.